Mind Body Life show hosted by Frederick Enteman on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Enteman investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Enteman.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life show. I'm your host, Frederick Enteman. I'm a former professional athlete, best-selling author of Surviving Sports and the Game of Life. I'm a coach and consultant. I help professional athletes win the game of life. I want to welcome you to episode 16. And today, I'm really going to stress focus, namely how presence is present power. There's a little brain tattoo for you. Presence is present day power. And I'm actually going to go back to my best-selling book. I'm an Amazon bestseller in the sports genre. And one of my favorite topics actually, and preferably that I use a lot even through coaching, is keeping your mindset in a state of every minute focus. And I think in today's modern society, I have a different perspective because the younger generation, if you will, and especially my kids, I'm watching them grow up with technology. You know, I represent people from my era. We represent the last, or I call it the merging generation of where, you know, it was the mid 90s. I was in college and the internet came to light. It was brand new. So I got to experience this brand new technology, whereas this present day generation doesn't know any difference because they've always had it. So what I'm seeing as an effect, and I think everyone will agree to some degree or less or more, that the world has never been more distracted than ever. And what I'm seeing, I just think it's an absolute shame that people are wasting their best moments of their lives distracted by online games and these platforms that are smartly engineered to keep you in the virtual reality. You know, Facebook is designed to keep engagement, and the brain is funny because when you feel like you're part of something, especially social, it taps into a part of the brain that gives it pleasure. And no one's to really blame. It's just a very tricky, nifty platform. A lot of these platforms and instant games are designed around that instant gratification, and therefore that's why everyone's distracted and addicted. And, you know, when it comes to focus is a skill. It's a mindset. It has to be practiced. Focus is absolutely essential for life or even sports success. You know, when you enter any sphere or endeavor, it's the one preliminary necessity, especially with professional athletes. They have laser-like focus. You know, people that are successful in life and business have laser-like focus. And an athlete, for example, may commit countless hours to training, but without that focus, it won't be possible to convert those efforts into results. And I think it's safe to say that all athletes want to reach their full potential. I think it's safe to say all business owners want to reach that successful, almost, you know, full potential, if that's what you want to call it. So focus is really what separates an average performance from a great performance to best in the world. The 1% that are best in the world have the most precise, unwavering focus and commitment to their task. They don't let anything get in their way. An unfocused mind will actually deliver a jumbled performance. And the same goes with life. If you're just treading along, letting time take you, and you're going from your computer to phone to one app to another, you're going to have a jumbled life, and you're going to wonder why you're constantly trying to fill that void within with external things. So it's no coincidence that the athlete that we most admire are the most focused, because focus enables an athlete to perform effectively amidst countless distractions and diversions. And they're so disciplined in their orientation that they're able to set their boundaries and just say, no, I'm not going to the television. I'm not going to the computer. I'm shutting my phone off, and I'm developing and doing the tasks necessary that's going to move me forward in life. And I also want to remind you that we actually, when you think about it, we're rewarded for our skill set that we bring to the table in life. Whatever that may be, that is ultimately the truth. And I'd say in order to attain, the laser-like focus that I mentioned, you must be 110% committed to whatever you're doing. Commitment means having an ultra specific goal or vision and doing whatever is necessary to reach it. It's that focus that the top achievers are able to attain. It's not out of the ordinary. It's a skill set, and it's simply lost art these days. And that's why I'm presenting this information to you. I want to remind you, this is your guide to the art of reaching your focused potential. And followed properly, I want to enable you to become your own master and realize your full potential. That's partly why I do what I do. I want people to have the life they envision. I want athletes to be able to transition from the sports bubble into the real life and achieve the same level, if not more, success than they did in their career. It's all possible. So I want to really stress on why you should focus on your outcomes and what do you actually want? What do you desire? Now, these are questions we have to think about, because many athletes I know, many individuals I actually not presently know, but used to know, they're focused on the wrong outcomes. People often get preoccupied with messages they are receiving from others as well. That's what's so dangerous about the television and these platforms, especially Facebook. You never know what's going to pop up on the screen these days. And there's countless and numerous distractions, especially the news. It's not news anymore. It's it's the outcomes that are emphasized, and the preoccupation with messages that are emphasized. That's really what you have to look at. So in practice, are you emphasizing egocentrically misaligned outcomes? Whatever that might be. If you go out to practice and think that, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do the best I can to ensure that I'm going to score 20 to 30 points next game. And in a team sphere, that's an egocentrically misaligned outcome. That's just one example. So think very carefully about the outcomes you seek. And you also have to know exactly the exact type of outcome that you desire. Really, what do you want? The only way you're going to get to the outcome you seek is by connecting with yourself and using yourself as an expression through your sport or through life. And this explains why extremely focused athletes like the Steffi Grafs or Michael Jordans or Jerry Rices and Roger Federers and Wayne Gretzky's, all of those one percenters, they offer a rare creativity to their game. And then it also explains why people try to mimic or copy what they actually created. These type of athletes achieve a laser focus that's in complete alignment with themselves, and it's regardless of the circumstances. I've heard stories of Wayne Gretzky going out, onto lakes and rivers, and he just didn't make excuses, and he'd skate. It didn't matter. So for them, the sport's not only a passion, but it becomes an expressive art form, more or less. And they're the composers. They're comfortable with focusing on themselves, and their unique artistry comes out of beautifully through their game. Now, the problem arises when individuals get preoccupied with circumstances outside of themselves, and the focus becomes completely misaligned, or what I guess I'll refer to as shattered. Shattered athletes and focused mentally and emotionally, and so the poor decision making usually follows. They might end up with actually such a total misalignment of the mind that the expression and the outcomes from that individual become undesirable, no matter how many times it may be rehearsed in their minds. Eventually it leads to the meltdown of athletes, and this actually explains why we see today athletes making such poor decisions, and everyone wonders why that's so. Elite athletes, professional athletes, are very specific, again, about the outcomes they seek. And it's what separates an amateur from a professional. They know exactly what they'd like to achieve and disregard anything but that. It's an iron discipline. And this means that the distractions and the negativity don't even come within the realm of their focus. Their boundaries are so strongly rooted that under no circumstance do they allow others to actually influence the outcome. You can learn a great deal by observing athletes like this. I used to love going to games or even watching NBA games. I pay particular attention to how does Michael Jordan warm up? What's his routines? How's his focus? And watch him like a hawk. Then in terms of focus and performance, the more you can achieve focus, the better chance you'll have to achieve what you're seeking through with your sport, through your body. And the outcome of your performance is directly proportional, again, to your focus. Focus is also a type of programming to your mind. What messages are you sending? For instance, an athlete can purposely direct their focus to the specific outcome that they desire, such as a basket in basketball, or a goal in soccer, a touchdown in football, or pitching a perfect game in baseball. And the more you focus on that specific outcome, the more precise it becomes, and your brain will know nothing other than achieving that outcome. And as a result, thought turns into a vivid picture, and almost like a visualization. And before you know it, you're turning your rehearsed thinking into doing. And that is really the definition of directed focus. One way to do this is to write down your goals and then reflect on them often. So by doing that, you can actually create in the now and focus on the now. And I would say focusing on the now in the present moment is probably the most important component of the entire focus sphere. And what happened yesterday is gone. You have to let it go. And what happens in the future will be mandated by your present focus, actually. What you're creating right now is the momentum that's going to create the future. When that future moment passes, it becomes the past. So you're actually, when you look at it that way, you can now see why when people make mistakes, they hold on to those mistakes and they keep holding on. And as you hold on, it just relives that moment. And most of the time, the history that you remember is a disillusioned story. So that's why it's so important to, whatever happens, let it go and just keep focusing on the present. And this means that whatever you're focusing on is going to become a manifestation of what you're thinking. So by staying in the now, you'll appreciate fully the outcome that you wish to retrieve in the future. This is a really important lesson and so important to practice as a dedicated athlete. And I actually wish someone had coached me or mentored me, or I had someone to tell me about this in my formative years. It's a skill that takes countless hours of concentrated practice to develop. And again, with all the distractions in the modern world, focusing as an athlete has never been more difficult. And I can say, to bring your focus to the now, you can constantly write down your goals. Keep your goals in your mind, constantly look at them and write them down. It's much more powerful than typing them down or texting them down. Review what it is that you want to achieve. Record what you wish to represent. Record who you wish to be. You're the master of your life. Only you should truly dictate your own outcomes. So keeping your focus on the present and forgetting the past is difficult, yes, but it's necessary. And whatever you focus on in the now will be realized in the future. That's just how it all works. And so the focus is actually the culmination of your thoughts and attention. So be very, very weary of distractions and guard your intent with your utmost energy. If you're not 100% committed to your outcomes, your focus still will waver, okay? And it's gaining consistent awareness and attentiveness to the outcome that will sharpen your focus. Laser focus equals massive, massive results. That's why I say being present is power. Presence is present power. Have you ever noticed that there's athletes who are leading performance in their sport, or leading performers in their sport, but they're actually utter disasters in real life? It's actually quite sad, and that's another reason I do what I do. I want to help these athletes win the game of life. And it's this issue that's really a conundrum in the modern sports world. How can a high achieving athlete, how can a professional athlete who's already broken through and achieved to the top have such a lack of presence in life? Presence is really awareness of your immediate environment. It's both external and internal, and it's the lack of this awareness that can have a negative effect on the playing field and in your performance. But it also impacts the performance in athletes' personal lives. And personally, when I was a professional and Division I athlete, I am very guilty of letting opinions and judgments and distractions from the media and coaches and especially teammates affect my presence. And this deeply impacted my personal relationships on all levels, including the one I had with myself. Again, this is a little introspection of why I do what I do. To learn the art of presence takes practice. And just like the many hours it takes to acquire any sports skill, it requires that same amount of effort to attain presence in life. And in regards to distractions, when you become successful in the sports world, you'll quickly be asked to shoulder a large number of new responsibilities. And suddenly, they just don't come at you one at a time. It's like they fall into your shoulders and lap all at once. And the number of distractions are immeasurable, or can be. There's really no limit to that world. And especially with respect to the media. Oh my goodness, the media distraction these days, it requires a great deal of personal control and coaching and communication on a level that was never required before. You really have to be disciplined and careful about what you say, because the media's always twisted the athletes' words and kind of manipulated and in hopes of selling that news, right? But with the event of online media and social networking, I mean, information's coming at us at a remarkable rate, and the pressure really to keep up is quite intense. So an athlete experiences a constant barrage of stimuli that can be really, really overwhelming. And you really need to learn how to ignore the hype and guard your energy. It's vital to protect yourself from the external noise that only diverts energy from your efforts to focus. And ultimately, it's going to negatively affect your progress. So only a clear, focused mind is really going to lead to your best performance. And needless distractions, they really don't move you closer to your goals. In fact, they don't move you closer to your goals at all. And so the more you can identify and eliminate the distractions, the more focused and energized you're going to be. The distractions take energy. It takes energy to keep up with the hype in the news and what others are thinking or saying. Who cares? It comes back to you. Protect yourself. Sit down and make a list of everything in your life that's a distraction. And I urge you to eliminate these things. Are there energy vampires? Are there naysayers in your life? Practice this daily and write everything in a journal. You want to make sure you're reflecting these days, and then make a timeline of what you're eliminating and when. Make this a priority and focus primarily on the outcomes you want, never on what you don't want or don't desire. So start a morning and evening ritual, like a morning overview of how you want your day to go and what you want to accomplish, and then an evening reflection and debrief on how your day went, during which you review your goals and you write down in your journal. Namely, it's the negativity through the distractions that can cause the most damage. And I think the negativity, and it's everywhere in the media and the sports world, has to be the biggest cancer in the entire sports world. There's just so many naysayers and haters. And, it's inevitable, but again, it's having the awareness. It's building the skills. It's building the non-reactiveness in having that skill set to make it through healthfully. You may experience negativity coming from many sources. Again, there's the media. There's a lot of crazy coaches out there. And there's also a lot of teammates that can be frenemies. Even though they're on your team, you can have a lot of selfish, egocentric people on your team. This is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. It's the higher you go, the more it actually is an ego-based sports world. And it's that low vibrating dark energy that can do the immeasurable harm to an athlete, especially words. words actually carry a vibration. I went to one of the top universities in the world for language, and I worked on a PhD in Germany, and I did a lot of studies. It was in literature, by the way, and I did a lot of studies in linguistics, in words, and actually Sanskrit has the highest megahertz vibrating sounds when it's enunciated. So next time someone tells you words can't hurt you, they don't know what they're talking about. And I just want to say the words can do immeasurable harm to an athlete. We're already bombarded from so many areas that try to break us down. You really have to be careful with your words, especially as a coach. When you think of vibrations, if you think about science, and then you consider where our physiology of the human form, we're basically water. And when you have a vibration, it's going to resonate with every very cell in your body. It actually sends a ripple of current that'll spread not only through your body, but there's been studies shown that for every word, because we're all connected in the earth and our energy is all connected, every word that we speak actually has an effect where it goes around the world 7 times. Yeah, it's really that fascinating. It goes around the entire planet 7 times. And so this vibration sends a signal to your brain where it can either cause good changes or good influences or harmful changes and influences. It's scientifically proven that negative words can be stored as trauma within ourselves, and the outcome can be mentally and physically and perpetually damaging. Many athletes don't even possess the proper skills to process any type of negativity because we're told to be tough. We're told to deal with it. We bottle it up and don't really respond to it in a healthy manner or way. And in the competitive world, we're often taught not to speak up at all. It's kind of looked down upon. And so I just want to urge you, setting your personal boundaries with the coaches and your teammates and the press is very difficult, but it's essential. There's a very fine line on how to tackle this or go about this. And just want to share a very intricate part of my life is, as a young man, I'm 18. I just didn't protect myself very well. And I personally would respond to negativity by internalizing my emotions. I think a lot of athletes do, but, eventually, instead of getting myself out of this situation, which is what I should have done, my inability to handle all the criticism and derision and shaming and guilt from a very, very abusive coach, by the way, resulted on the onset of post-traumatic stress disorder, which I had in college and I didn't even know. And then once that came out later in life, I had to deal with that. And it's also been my main kind of cause and effect scenario of why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I'm certainly no victim, taking full responsibility for that situation, but it is also part of me, and it happened. And I'm now on a mission to educate athletes about healthy responses to negativity, and always be the master of yourself. And you speak your truth no matter what. It's recognizing when you should speak your truth as well. An athlete's life is one of high pressure and stress. And we're always asking ourselves to move faster and try harder. And very physical as well as mental, but it's the emotional side that's often neglected. And that takes skills to develop as well. Now, athletes need to actually be taught how to slow down so much that you emotionally process everything coming at them and actually learn to advocate for themselves again when things aren't going so well. And, you know, for me, fighting negativity is a huge theme. It's overcoming the adversity and fighting and squashing the negativity. The legendary and beloved John Wooden, by the way, I use him as an example all the time, who led his UCLA teams to, remarkable 10 NCAA men's basketball championships. He strongly believed in guarding against negativity. And it's no wonder he could win so many championships. He didn't even believe in cursing because he knew that a single word could be a negative and damaging signal to the brain. I'm not saying he never cussed, but he certainly was aware, and he knew negativity destroys human potential unless any hope of achieving those positive world championship results. Think about it. What do you want to be as an athlete? Do you want to reach your highest potential, to have that kind of unwavering confidence? Negativity shouldn't even enter your domain if you're really seeking to break through plateaus and attain that next level of success. And so to end this episode, I'm going to end with the awareness of the negativity, because that's really what breaks our distractions. That's really what breaks our certainty, is when we don't surround ourselves with positivity as much as possible. So set your personal boundaries and speak up when your boundaries are violated, no matter who it is. You have to guard yourself and your energies with the utmost self-love, is self-respect, and it's protecting that. So we're not taught that. You're not a slave. No, if you're not protecting that, you more or less are acting like a submissive slave. So keep your thoughts positive and take care to be a positive influence on others as well. Raise others up. Now, being an athlete is not easy. You sacrifice so much physically, emotionally, mentally. We give up a lot in life to try to achieve our goals. So be the inspiring light that helps lift your teammates to greatness. It's, I think if there's one thing to implement in an athlete's realm these days, I'd say start meditating if you're not meditating, because it's actually a tool that it's not only going to have an effect on the quality of your life, okay? It's going to help your performance. Meditation's proven to improve so many areas that are important to athletes and in their lives. In regards to thinking and your focus and your outlook and your awareness, your intuition, and your connection to yourself and your environment. It's going to increase and propel all those areas. And I know there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation about meditation, but it's often kind of that hocus pocus or mysterious practice that some even try to link religion to it. It has nothing to do with religion. Meditation is simply quieting the mind, and it's a scientific phenomenon where in that quiet space, all you're doing is focusing inward on yourself, and you're simply being in the moment. That's the practice. Quieting your thoughts, and you're in the moment. So it's being here now. You're slowing down, you're quieting your mind, you're focusing on your breath, and it's incredibly powerful. I once heard John Sally, he's a 4-time NBA champion, talking about the former Chicago Bulls coach, Phil Jackson, in an interview. And Sally said the most essential component on his entire team coming together was that Coach Phil, he's also known as the Zen Master, was the use of meditation in the locker room. There's absolutely nothing more beneficial to your team than helping the players share those meditative thought patterns. You know, Coach Phil, as he's known, he's called the Zen Master again, because he actually used these meditation techniques. He was able to calmly and artfully manage many, many intense personalities. I mean, we're talking about Dennis Rodman, and he brought his teams to 11 NBA championships. So when I see the correlations between positivity and a John Wooden, and then calming the mind and the correlations with meditation and NBA championships, I don't think I need to elaborate anymore. It's during meditation, during the positivity, during quietude, it's during that practice where anxiety diminishes and your overthinking ceases and the negativity associated with anything, even externally, family issues or personal problems, it just fades away. A quiet mind actually enables you to find that inner comfort and allows you to have that poise on the court or in the real world. And it's an added concentration. So tapping into these internal resources, it's going to give you as an athlete or as an individual a great advantage in competition, or it's going to be very helpful when meeting any of life's challenges. So slow down and breathe. It's really that simple. That's really what's going to bring the clarity of thought, reduction to stress, your ability to calm yourself in stressful situations, and it's going to allow you to have constructive responses to criticism because it lowers your resistance, increases your awareness. You just won't be such a reactive individual. So not to go into the depths of meditation, but I want to stress that I think next episode, I might go into the realms of meditation now that I brought that up. But I want to thank you for joining me on episode 16. Again, I'm Frederick Intamin. I help professional athletes win at the game of life. If you know a professional athlete, please let them know that there is a guy like me out there in the world. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to link up professionally. I'm on Facebook also. I'm also on Twitter. Also is Frederick Intamin. And please follow me on Instagram. This has been a pleasure. I hope you have the greatest of days. And take care until next time.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Intamin host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.